Waheguru Kar Khalsa, Waheguru Ki Fateh. My name is Gurmukh Singh. Today I want to address this alarming situation where SikhNet and the Yogi Bhajan people are actively trying to subsume Sikhi into this relentless Hindu vata. Yes, it may seem alarming to you, and I hope that you all wake up to the fact that SikhNet supports these Hindu vata practices that Gurmukh Kaur, here shown, is promoting and practicing. You can see here this Gurmukh Kaur, who's a famous yoga teacher in Hollywood, how she's being promoted by SikhNet in this article that was published on SikhNet. Now the latest is that Gurmukh Kaur is holding a fire puja ceremony along with celebrating the birthday of the Hindu god Krishna. She's bringing this Hindu Swami from Rishikesh that she has a very close relationship with. And yes, I'll show you proof of how she has been actively promoting this Swami and how Yogi Bhajan was also actively promoting this Swami. And now SikhNet is promoting her, Gurmukh Kaur, along with these un-Sikh-like and anti-Sikh practices. First bit of evidence is how Gurmukh Kaur goes to Rishikesh 2 or 3 times a year to practice these Hindu pujas. You can see her there doing the fire puja or homa ceremony, as they're called, homa fire puja. This is the flyer from her event that's taking place on August 16th at 6 p.m. at her Golden Bridge Yoga Studio. They're at 1357 North Highland, Los Angeles. So this is proof showing that she is sponsoring this event, and SikhNet supports this. This is her newsletter that Gurmukh Kaur just sent out. Now I want to read you a letter that was sent to a Sikh gentleman by SikhNet concerning Gurmukh Kaur's practices and how SikhNet supports her. The letter says, now first I'll explain that this letter is from Ong Kar Kaur Khalsa, who is a director at SikhNet. You can look her up there on the internet and see that she's a high-ranking official in SikhNet. So she is an official speaking for SikhNet. I know that she is involved, she's the executive director on one of the Yogi Bhajan trusts, so she's definitely a high-ranking person there at the SikhNet and Yogi Bhajan organization. She says here about Gurmukh's action, she says, when people like Gurmukh Kaur participate with Hindu leaders in doing a puja, it is just an interfaith event. This is much more than an interfaith event. Gurmukh Kaur is actively hosting and promoting this fire homa puja, which is completely part of this Hindu vata. Now, SikhNet is supporting her. This is the evidence. This letter from Ong Kar Kaur responding to this Sikh gentleman's questions about why SikhNet promotes Gurmukh Kaur. You can see in that previous post how Gurmukh Kaur was featured in a SikhNet article. She was doing a little puja in the river Ganga there. And I'll read you what she says on her newsletter here about this event she's sponsoring. She says, on the 16th of August, we'll be so blessed in the presence of a holy man from India, this Swami Chitananda Saraswati. will honor Lord Krishna's birthday. She calls the Hindu god Krishna Lord Krishna. At birthday at Golden Bridge, Hollywood, with a yagna. Now, a yagna, for all of you may not know, is like a puja. It's a Hindu ceremony where they do sacrifice with these incense and wood chips, and they throw them into this fire. And it's a ritual where they think that they'll get these blessings through doing these pujas like this. It says yagna, which is a fire ceremony for the purification that they do every single evening alongside the Mother Ganga, Rishikesh, India, which we love so much and is where we hold our teachers' training immersions. This sounds exactly like she's a Hindu. And yet Gurmukh Kaur calls herself a Sikh. She uses a Sikh surname, Kaur and Khalsa, which is a real insult to the Sikh religion. Now, I'm calling on Sikhs to write SikhNet and to tell them to stop these practices, to stop promoting Gurmukh Kaur. They just don't realize the effect. SikhNet doesn't realize the effect that these actions by these 3HO Gora Sikhs have on the mainstream traditional Sikhs. I want to read for you a letter that was just sent to me while I'm showing you some of these other pictures I've gathered over the years of some of the un-Sikh-like practices. I'll read to you this letter that was sent to me by a Sikh gentleman. And he says here, "You are right, Gursant Singh. Myself being Punjabi-born Sikh, it's not about white or black, it's about following the het of Khalsa." The Sikh code of conduct he's talking about. That is the most important. I had a great respect for these new Sikhs from the Western Hemisphere, and I didn't mind if they took lead roles in the punt. But as soon as I found out about the Hinduization of Sikhism on their part, this arrogance that their path is the right path, and non-support of Sikh freedom fighters like Sant Bhindranwale ji, and not speaking out in condemning India's genocide of Sikhs, this has ultimately caused me to lose trust and faith in these so-called Sikhs. That really sums it up. Unfortunately, SikhNet, these Yogi Bhajan people, have such an arrogance about them. It's just appalling. And we need to write them, we need to encourage them to look closely at their attitude. Now, it's really not their fault, because Yogi Bhajan, as you can see here in these photographs, taught them to do these things, like worshiping these idols you can see there in Espanola. And so we need to appeal to them and tell them that these are wrong practices, bowing to stones, doing these pujas, as they've been doing, worshiping Yogi Bhajan. We need to instruct them in the true way of Sikhi. I think a lot of them do have a desire to be spiritual, to know the Guru Sahib's Gurbani, but they've been misled. They've been set astray by Yogi Bhajan's teachings. I wrote a book, as you can see here, and I'd like you all to read it. I'm offering it on Amazon. It's only 99 cents there, but if you'd like a free copy, it's only, I can send you a free copy for as a PDF. You just write me and I'll be sure to send you a free copy. So we need to change these things that are affecting our Sikh brothers and sisters there in the 3HO organization. It's very difficult for them to change. I know that. And I advise all of you, too, not to get too close to them. Write them, appeal to them by email, but I would not suggest that you spend too much time with them, because they'll probably get you under the spell as well. It took me a long time to get away from Yogi Bhajan's group, which took 30 years. Yogi Bhajan told us to meditate on his picture. He really put us under a real spell, I think, of this tantric spell. And it was only by Guru Sahib's grace, after I went to India, that I was able to meet true Sikhs and understand that Yogi Bhajan's teachings were completely false. And they led us into these tantric Shiv Shakti practices. There have only been a few Sikhs, people in 3HO, I should say, that have remained in the Sikh religion, maybe 5 or 6, after they got out of Yogi Bhajan's group. Because Yogi Bhajan, like I said, really had this spell over people. And they were in the group because of Bhajan, not because of Sikhi. So they need to make a choice. They need to either choose to be real Sikhs and to take on the Sikh way of life, or they can become Bhajanists. I don't think they'd really make very good Hindus either, because they don't really practice all Hindu teachings. But they could call themselves Bhajanists. That would be okay, as long as they drop their Sikh names and they don't tell people that they're Singh or Kaur. Bhajan was on all kinds of scams and all kinds of lies. He was a pathological liar. He was also painted all these ugly phallus drawings. He was into this tantric sexual yoga, which is completely against Sikh teachings. These are some drawings here you can see that he gave me, and I guess that he wanted me to see his powerful phallus symbols. He's written here these words power, and he's got the audacity to write here on one of them here, God, you can see here. So he was really, Yogi Bhajan was really messed up, just in a lay person's term. And he had all these scams about using the Darbar Sahib and the Sikh images to make money off of their yogi tea. These were some of the scams that he got into. He got us into all kinds of other scams, selling gemstones for highly inflated prices and everything. So all these monies, they go into all these yoga groups. And I would suggest you not make donations to SikhNet, because when you do, you don't know where the money's going to. And you'll see here by these legal documents that SikhNet and these other Yogi Bhajan organizations have to teach the Sikh religion as taught by Yogi Bhajan. That's what it says right here. The Yogi Bhajan people fought for many years over these billions of dollars, these different Yogi Bhajan companies. And the result was that they made a settlement out of court. Part of that settlement was that they agreed not to disparage, in layman's terms, not criticize Yogi Bhajan. And they had to teach the Sikh religion as taught by Yogi Bhajan. So this tells you this is really a cult around Yogi Bhajan. And I think there is still some hope for some of these 3HO people. And I would like to encourage all well-meaning Sikhs out there to write them and try to get them engaged in discussions about what is the real, true Sikh path. So maybe we can convince some of them to come into the true Sikh path. Now, I want to read for you also some other people's comments and posts about Yogi Bhajan's group, so that you can see that this is not only me that's talking about this, but there are other people. first, I want to point out a really good book that really opened my eyes to the Yogi Bhajan group. It's called Sikhism and Tantric Yoga. Now, this book is available for free on my website. I spent weeks scanning all the pages and putting it into a text editor so that I can make it available as a PDF for all people to read this book. There was only a few copies left. Dr. Chalochan Singh spent months with Yogi Bhajan back in 1977. And he really foretold a lot of these things that are happening now with Gurmukh Kaur, who's taking off and doing these Hindu Vata practices, these fire pujas, in the parking lot of her yoga studio. And he really told us about how Yogi Bhajan was instrumental in teaching these Shiv Shakti or Hindu Vata practices. And that the Yogi Bhajan people picked this up. And they thought it was part of Sikhism. But we all know as Sikhs that it's not. So, again, I want to read for you a few of these letters and comments that some other people have written about this situation. So long as Khalsa retains his distinct identity, I will give him my entire radiance and strength. But if he should take on a non-Sikh way of life, then I shall have no confidence in him and withdraw my support and protection. This is Guru Gobind Singh Ji who said this. Every Sikh is a representative of the Guru and the Khalsa Panth, especially one who is in the public eye. If they behave in a way that breaches the Sikh Maryada, the whole Khalsa suffers. Let us look at Gurmukh Kaur's name, the one whom 3HO so blithely dismisses as a popular yogini. Her first name is Gurmukh, meaning that person whose face is forever turned towards the Guru. And that means Guru Nanak and his successors, not some Hindu Swami or the demigod Shiva. Sometimes in Gurbani, Gurmukh refers to Guru Sahib himself. How can a Gurmukh be doing Hindu puja? Now this letter is from an American who was with Yogi Bhajan for almost 20 years. His name is Vikram Singh. And I highly respect that he still remained a Sikh. And he has a lot of expert knowledge about the 3H organization. And he said here recently on the Vermont Learning Zone, he said, as an American Sikh, 20 years as Bhajanist and 24 as an ordinary Sikh, I've heard this kind of talk many times. When I was a Bhajanist, the level of understanding of Sikh history and Sikh Maryada, Punjabi culture and history of Guru Sahib amongst my peers was abysmal, verging on non-existent. Personally, I'm deeply disturbed by what I see happening in the Bhajanist movement. In the field of teaching Kundalini Yoga, the movement seems to be expanding exponentially. There's nothing wrong with this per se, but the New Age people are teaching this yoga very open and somewhat familiar with Hindu terminology and practices. Thus, the Kundalini Yoga they teach veers more and more towards Hindu practices. The Bhajanist movement is becoming more and more Hindu-like. Sadly, no one amongst them seems to care. Few Bhajanists have any idea of what sacrifices were made by those who went before to maintain the purity of Sikhi in the face of the relentless drive of certain factions amongst the Hindus to subsume Sikhi back into the relentless juggernaut of Hindu Vata. They don't care about the persecution, genocide, and economic warfare pursued by the Indian government against Sikhs in India. Instead, they have this arrogance that they have the true path of Sikhi and that Punjabis will somehow have to follow along. This kind of talk makes me very sad, and I only see further misunderstanding and miscommunications in the future between Bhajanists and Punjabi origin Sikhs. So, I think Vikram Singh has really hit the nail on the head here. That the Bhajanists, as he calls them, the Yogi Bhajan followers, this includes SikhNet, the other organizations, just refuse to see Sikhi and understand this from the Punjabi perspective. Thank you for your time. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa.